While most people were busy scrolling headlines about politics and celebrity drama, something far more serious was unfolding in the Supreme Court. Quietly, without the noise or the cameras, 9 justices reached a unanimous decision that just rewrote how your rights are judged when force comes into play. It wasn't about a minor policy or some technical legal fix. This was about the foundation of freedom, how far government power can reach, and how much protection you actually have when you're face to face with the state. For decades, courts narrowed their focus down to a single instant, that split second when an officer says they felt threatened. But in this ruling, the justices rejected that shortcut and demanded something bigger: context. From now on, the entire story matters. What led up to the moment, what happened during, and what choices were made on both sides. And if you're a gun owner or just someone who cares about fairness, this isn't background noise. This is the shift that could decide whether your rights shield you or vanish the second fear takes over. So, it all started with a stop that should have been routine. A man pulled over, not for armed robbery, not for assault, for unpaid tolls. His name was Ashton Barnes. The officer on scene, Robert Felix. At first, Barnes complied. He opened the door, as instructed, but then in a split-second decision, he tried to drive away. Felix, reacting on instinct, stepped onto the side of the moving car. Within seconds, he fired 2 shots into the vehicle. Barnes was killed. The entire encounter, from car movement to fatal gunfire, lasted barely 5 seconds. Now, here's where everything broke down. The lower courts didn't care about what led up to that moment. They didn't care about Felix's decision to jump on the car or whether the situation could have been diffused earlier. They only cared about those final 2 seconds. Felix said he felt threatened, and that was enough. Case closed until the Supreme Court got involved. For decades, the so-called moment of threat rule gave officers a free pass. Courts would freeze the frame on the exact second a trigger was pulled and ask one question: did the officer say they felt scared right then? If the answer was yes, case closed. No one cared about the decisions that dragged the situation to the breaking point. No one cared if the officer created the danger themselves. That lazy shortcut buried context and buried people's rights within it. It turned deadly force into a game of excuses. Citizens paid the price. Time and time again, families were told, sorry, the officer was scared, as if fear was a magic word that erased accountability. But that shield just cracked. In a unanimous 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court ripped the Band-Aid off and said, enough. No more hiding behind a 2-second snapshot. From now on, it's the whole picture. Every choice, every warning, every missed chance to de-escalate is on the table. Because life isn't a freeze frame. It's a chain of decisions. And for once, the courts finally admitted what the rest of us already knew. Context matters. So why should you care? Because this isn't just about cops and courts. This ruling just rewired the battlefield for every law-abiding gun owner in America. Picture this: you're carrying legally, you're calm, respectful, doing everything by the book. A nervous officer pulls you over, misreads a movement, and suddenly his hand's on his gun. Under the old rule, if something went wrong in that moment, the court only looked at those 2 seconds. Was the officer scared? That was enough to bury you. Your calm behavior, your compliance, your rights, all of it vanished behind that single excuse. Not anymore. Now the full story counts. Judges have to weigh how you acted, what you said, whether you followed the law, and whether the officer escalated the danger instead of controlling it. That changes everything for gun owners caught in tense encounters. Because for once, your rights don't disappear the second someone in authority panics. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist for one officer. It was a direct message to every courtroom in the country. For years, federal circuits twisted themselves into knots using that moment of threat shortcut. Some leaned on it heavily, others applied it inconsistently, and the result was chaos. Citizens losing cases not because they were wrong, but because the courts refused to see the whole picture. That era just ended. With a 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court ripped the narrow lens away. From now on, every federal and state court is on notice. Context isn't optional, it's constitutional. What does that mean in real terms? Pending cases once dismissed under the old standard may come roaring back. Appeals that seem dead in the water now have new life. Lawyers representing families wronged by excessive force just got the green light to demand accountability. And for the first time in decades, judges are forced to look past the frame and acknowledge the full timeline of an encounter. This isn't just legal housekeeping, it's a full reset, and it's going to send shockwaves through every police department, courtroom, and training manual in America. The fallout won't stop at the courthouse. This ruling is a shockwave through every police department. For years, training manuals said if you can claim fear in that instant, you're covered. That's gone. Now accountability starts from first contact. Every word, every move can end up under a judge's microscope. One reckless choice early in an encounter could sink a defense later in court. And lawsuits? Get ready. Families once told, case closed are reopening files. Attorneys now have a Supreme Court-backed argument. Context matters. The days of fear alone justifying force are over. If officers escalate instead of de-escalate, courts will weigh it, and that changes everything about how your rights are judged. So where does this ruling hit hardest? Right at the intersection of the Second and Fourth Amendment. For years, the courts acted like they lived in separate worlds. One was about carrying, the other was about searches and seizures. But that wall was always an illusion, because what good is the right to carry if the second you do, an officer can misread your holster, your wallet, or even your body language as a threat and walk away justified? That illusion is gone now. Court finally admitted the obvious. Your right to bear arms means nothing if fear alone can erase it. The Fourth Amendment's shield against unreasonable force now overlaps with the Second's guarantee of lawful carry. And that changes the game. It means being armed no longer paints a target on your back in court. Calm compliance, lawful possession, even saying I'm carrying illegally can't just be brushed aside as threatening by default. Judges have to weigh the full story. For the first time in decades, your rights don't sit in separate corners. They reinforce each other. And if you own, carry, or even plan to defend yourself, that's the shield you've been waiting for. Here's the raw truth. You own a gun. You're more likely than most people to have structured encounters with law enforcement. Traffic stops, hunting or range checks, a knock on the door over a complaint, or worse, a red flag order served in the middle of the night. These are the moments where seconds feel like dynamite. You're calm, you're within your rights, but one wrong look, one nervous assumption, and suddenly the situation tilts. Under the old rule, those final 2 seconds could erase everything. Your compliance, your lawful carry, your restraint. Courts would freeze the frame, stamp it, justified, and move on. Now the script is different. Judges have to weigh how you handled yourself, how clearly you communicated, whether the officer's choices escalated instead of controlled the moment. That legal shift means your lawful behavior finally counts. It also means departments can shrug off their own bad decisions by saying we felt threatened. But don't mistake this for a free pass. This standard raises the stakes for everyone. Your calm, your clarity, your choices matter more than ever, because now the courts will actually see them, and if the state tries to twist your lawful carry into something sinister, they'll have to explain the full picture, not just a split second of fear. What we're looking at here isn't just another court case, it's a reset. Legal scholars are already calling Barnes versus Felix the Miranda of use of force law, a ruling that rewires the rules nationwide, whether you've heard of it or not. Think about what Miranda did. One case forced every cop in America to read you your rights before questioning. It reshaped every arrest, every interrogation, every trial. This ruling has the same DNA. From now on, excessive force isn't judged by a 2-second clip, it's judged by the whole story. And that changes police training, courtroom strategy, and your protections every single time the state makes contact with you. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. This wasn't a 5-4 split. It wasn't partisan bickering. It was 9-0. That means every justice, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter, agreed that the old standard was broken. When the entire court throws out decades of shortcuts in one voice, you know the ground just shifted under your feet. So don't be fooled by the silence in the headlines. This isn't technical. This is foundational. A new standard has been set. From now on, context is a law of the land. So here's where we stand. One routine traffic stop just ripped the mask off decades of excuses. The moment of threat shield that let fear erase rights? Dead. Now on, courts are forced to look at the entire story. Officers are on notice. Departments have to retrain. Old cases are clawing their way back, and for you, the citizen, the gun owner, the one who's done everything right, your calm compliance and lawful carry finally count. But don't kid yourself. The same system that builds this loophole will fight to rebuild it. They'll chip away at the edges, write new exceptions, twist the language until fear sneaks back in through another door. If you stay quiet, they'll win. This ruling isn't the finish line. It's the opening shot in a new battle. A unanimous 9-0 decision sent the message loud and clear. Context matters. Rights matter. Accountability matters. Now the question is, will you let it fade into silence, or will you keep the pressure on? So if you value your rights, don't scroll past this. Share it, talk about it, and drop a comment below. Does this ruling make you breathe easier, or does it prove how fast fear can still flip the script on your freedom? Stay loud, stay sharp, and above all, stay safe.